Hello guys, how's it going? It's Dmitry here, and today I'm going to talk about another really important topic in JavaScript. It's called prototyping. Guys, many people refer or call JavaScript as a prototype-based language. So what does it mean exactly? And today we're going to discuss about that. Okay, first of all, I'm going to stop typing because I think it's easier to explain this topic based on the examples. Let's move on. I'm going to define a tiny new object and I will call it person, and I'm going to define one of the keys, just one key for now, and property first name and Dmitry. Okay. Yeah guys, and let's console out. For example, it's obvious, right? If you would like to see if this actual object it has the property or one of the properties that has name first name, we just can chain this way, right? Person dot first name, and straight away we get the result, right? If you run it, so you can see Dmitry, right? So, but another really important thing to understand, that if you specify something like that, console okay, person dot I don't know, for instance, value of. So guys, this is the legit implementation, right? But you can see here in this newly created object, this value of this property doesn't exist, right? So what the heck, where the heck is coming from, right? And that's, guys, where prototyping, or so called the concept of prototyping, coming from. Okay, in general I would say this value of, it's coming from another object, and this object refer to our newly created object as a prototype object, guys. You can imagine it as a chain of objects, but really important to understand one thing. This original or prototype object, it has multiple default properties, and all newly created objects in JavaScript, they going to inherit all the original properties of this prototype object. And it's a power of JavaScript that you have this original prototype object, and it has all these default properties, right? Like value of, or I think it's up to 10 or 12 of them. It's like value of, a prototype of, to string, and more, right? Like all these properties, they going to be accessible within this object, with the newly created object, right? Because this object can access all the properties of the prototype object, right? Or inherit all the properties of prototype object. Pretty cool, guys, pretty cool stuff. And okay, let's move on, and later on we're going to discuss more about that. Let's define a new example. Okay, I would like to call it person1 now, and I would like to say I would like to define second object, person2, and I'm going to define h32. So essentially this second object is going to have this property, right, h, and the first one doesn't have, right? So what we can do now, and it's pretty cool stuff, guys, what we plan to do, we can do one thing. we can say object. Okay, first of all, let's say person. This second object, right? It's going to have definitely it has this property, right? And as in case of first object, as we did before, we're going to log it out in order to verify that, right? You can see 32, right? Pretty cool, but nothing special. But what if we try to access this property? Technically it's impossible, right guys? Because currently this property, it's not part of this object, right? But let's try anyway, for the sake of trying. First name, undefined, right? Makes sense. So what we can do, guys, by default we have this functionality. Let's define object dot set prototype of, and then I'm going to define prototype of person2 object and person1 object, and I'm going to explain what I'm trying to achieve here. Guys, based on this piece of code, I'm saying this object going to inherit all the properties of this object. And obviously this object at the beginning, when we created it, this object inherited all the properties of initial prototype object. You know what I mean? So it's already going to be like a 2-level chain, right? Like this level chain, this object level, then this object level, and obviously even more than 2, right? And third one, which is this object, like prototype of this object, right? So yeah, that's how it is. Anyway, let's now what I'm planning to do. What I'm planning to show, I'm planning to say, let's do different stuff. Let's do person, which is this object, right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going now try to access first name object, first name property, because I told you, right? What we're trying to achieve here, we saying we would like to inherit all the properties of this object, right? This object going to inherit property of this object, and it means one of the properties of this object is first name. So essentially, if you try to access this way, or through person2, right, object, technically it should work, right? Let's see if it's going to work. By the way, I'm going to comment that for now. Here we go, guys. It works, right? So now this person2 object inheriting this property of the person1 object, right? Property, which is first name, right? Pretty cool stuff, guys. And more than that, right? We still, through this person2 object, we still can access all the default functionality of initial prototype object, right? The prototype of this person1 object. Okay, I will show you guys. Let's copy and paste person2, and now, for instance, to string, right? So guys, you still can see it's still legit, right? And it's not going to give you any errors. So it's giving object, right? So it means it works, right? So, which is pretty cool, guys. Essentially, now the scope of this person2 object became bigger, right? And we didn't copy and paste extra data, in actual object. We just, we just chained it, right? Or prototype that. So that's the power of prototyping. Can you imagine you have like hundreds or thousands of objects, and all of them they just chained, right? And the final object that's going to inherit all the properties of the rest of the objects, or of the rest of the prototype objects, it's going to carry really huge scope, right? Or scope of all the previous type object, right? It's a super powerful concept. To be honest with you, I'm super excited about this concept. Hopefully you got it, guys. Please let me know in comments below if you struggle to understand it. Then I will try to come up with a new tutorial related to this topic. I would recommend you just try to rewatch this video as many times as possible, and I'm sure lately you will get it, you know. And also try to practice, guys. I think, guys, I'm going to wrap up. It's quite a long video already, and yeah, I see you guys next time, and take care, stay safe, and please subscribe, guys, if you follow me. And also like this video, by the way, guys, if you really enjoyed watching it. Thank you, guys. Goodbye.